Believe it or not, I got the same house speaking examiner twice in a row, and the scores that I received were 1 point apart, which is pretty dramatic for IELTS speaking. It may not seem a lot, but 1 point is pretty huge. It's hard to imagine somebody would be able to improve from 6 to 7 within a month or 7 to 8 within a month. But that's what happened. So what is going on, right? The reason why I'm taking IELTS frequently was because I needed an 8 for my writing, but I'm consistently scoring 7.5 for my writing, so I had to do it again. And because the city that I'm currently living in, Canberra, only offer paper-based examination for IELTS, I had to travel to a neighboring city, which is 3 hours away by car. And before the exam, I actually drove 3 hours to the venue to check out everything, just to make sure I'll be able to arrive there on time on the exam day. So it was a lot of work. And then it came the exam day. I drove 3 hours alone to the city. By the time that I arrived, it was already almost my speaking test time, so I quickly checked in. I sat there for a while, and the examiner came to greet me, and she took me to the exam room. And it went pretty well, honestly. I felt really good about it because throughout the whole exam, the interview, she was nodding, smiling, so I thought that was positive feedback. And also, I was doing great, yeah. So walking out to the exam room, I was expecting at least an 8, but guess what? The result came out only 7 for my speaking. I was so shocked because I scored a 7 so many years ago, before I even came to Australia. You know what I'm talking about? After so many years of working so hard on my English and living in Australia for many years, I'm still a 7, but it is what it is, and there's nothing that I can do about it. So I have to take the exam again, but I did not expect seeing her again in my second try in Wollongong. So that time, I didn't drive. My best friend Philly here in Australia and also his girlfriend, we together went to Wollongong. I went to take the test and they went out and had fun. So anyway, I checked in and she came to me again. I was like, holy shit, but I kept it to myself. So I said, oh, good to see you again. And she looked at me surprised and she was like, why did you come again? And I was thinking, you are the one who was assigning scores. You probably know better than I do, and that's why I'm here. Obviously, I didn't say that. I said, oh, I messed up my writing a little bit and speaking as well, so I have to do it again. So we started our interview. So part 1, I did not really remember a lot about it, but part 2, I remember it was a topic about a TV program or movie, something like that. So I talked about an Australian produced show named Wanted, which is also on Netflix. I highly recommend everybody to check it out, especially if you're thinking about coming to Australia or maybe New Zealand to study. Yeah, it's a great opportunity for you to learn a lot of Australian slangs like servo, which means a service station, tracking a sickie, which basically means calling in sick. So those things that I learned, I also talked about in my part 2. So I think I did pretty well, used a lot of Australian slangs. And part 3, it was okay, but there was a couple of questions that really caught me off guard. I think at one time she asked me a question about news that we often see on newspapers and TV. And she said, why are those news often bad news? And without thinking, I said something like, probably because, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but sometimes we don't want bad things happen to us, but we enjoy watching other people suffering. And immediately I felt that was a terrible answer. That was so bad. But what I actually meant was, you know, sometimes we are actually measuring ourselves against those people that we see on those news. When we see people are suffering, we think, okay, we are actually doing pretty good. It's not too bad, right? That's what I actually meant, but I didn't explain further. So it was pretty bad. I should have said something like, you know, maybe disagree with her because it's not only bad news that we see in those newspapers and on TV, we also see good news. And the question is very I don't know, maybe like a stereotypical, probably should have something like that, you know. I disagree. There are also good news like that, but it is what it is, yeah. So based on what I experienced the last time, I was a little bit skeptical. I was a little bit scared about what kind of score I'd be getting this time. I was not having a really high expectation, but I did use a lot of complex sentence structures. I used the conditional sentences. I used some great vocabulary, so like bombarded with all kinds of news. I also used Australian slangs, and I'm pretty sure I did not make a lot of grammatical mistakes. So theoretically, I would be able to score at least an 8. So I waited for about 2 days because it's a computer-based exam. The result came out pretty quickly, and I scored 8.5 overall. I got 9 in my speaking and reading. I also got 7.5 again, which is a bummer. In my writing, I actually talk about this in my another video. If you're interested, check this out. And lastly, I scored an 8 for my speaking this time. So thanks to her, eventually. So if you're getting the same examiner for your IELTS speaking, don't panic. Just do what you're supposed to do. And by the way, there's a high chance this will happen if you are taking IELTS very frequently in countries like, you know, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. Because from what I know, I think those examiners, they are actually locals and they don't travel, which means they don't rotate. If you're taking IELTS very frequently during a short period of time, you're very likely going to see the same examiner. So good luck with that. But if that do happen, don't panic. Like I just said, do what you're supposed to do because that's what you can control. You cannot control how they are going to assess you. So don't overthink it, don't overstress it. They should be fair. If you don't think they're being fair, you can always require a remark, but doing your best and don't panic, it should be your best strategy. And that's a pretty fun experience. And another fun thing that I experienced during my IELTS examination was in the listening test, I actually got the same exact question in section 3, same exact one. So I was just, you know, sitting there chilling because I knew all the answers. That was also pretty interesting. It's computer based, I guess, at that time. So in the next video, let's talk about which one should you do, computer based or paper based, which one is better. And I also heard a rumor that there's actually one skill retake that's available in Australia. So we'll also talk about that. So my name is Gavin. I hope you have fun watching this video. This is an IELTS series where I document my journey from going from IELTS Band 5 to Band 8.5. Like always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.